Thank you to my patrons. Your generosity and commitment to my work is astonishing. I sincerely appreciate it.
Atheism, the belief that there was nothing and that nothing happened to nothing, which made nothing explode, thus creating everything from nothing for no reason. But then a bunch of everything rearranged itself for no reason into self-replicating bits that transformed into dinosaurs, but then the dinosaurs used the power of nothing to transform into something else, which then used the power of nothing to transform into humans that don't matter because there is nothing waiting for them, because nothing exists outside of the everything that nothing blew up and created. Atheism makes perfect sense. That sure is a mouthful. Anyway, let's dive in here and try and unpack this, shall we?
Take the risk of thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, beauty, and wisdom will come to you that way. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, and don't worry, the video is about to begin. I just wanted to take a moment to make you aware of my Patreon, the link for which can be found in the description below. Sign up today for as little as £3 per month and you can gain access to a plethora of perks and extras, including downloadable audio-only and ad-free versions of my podcast that you can listen to on the go. You can also have your question answered in a monthly video, and better still, depending on which tier you choose, you could even sit down for a Skype call with yours truly, Magic Skeptic. All that is available and much, much more. All you got to do is click the link in the description below. I hope to see you there. Hey everybody, Magic Skeptic here, and you're all very welcome to another episode of A Magician's Thoughts. Up for today, I've got something that's going to give you a bit of a chuckle. I want to spend today's video looking at some theist or creationist or apologetics memes. And what I mean by that is that these memes attack atheists and try to show atheists for the idiots that they believe us to be. And some of them are downright hilarious. But, and this may surprise you, some of the criticisms or nuggets of wisdom, I dare say, that are found in these memes, I actually agree with. So stick around in this video and you might be surprised to discover that your friendly Magic Skeptic has some agreement with these apologists, with these Christians, with these theists. And so with that said, we're just going to dive right in here and have a bit of a laugh. And let's take a look at our very first meme. Theism, good enough for these idiots. I gotta say, I absolutely love this one, and there's some really interesting thinking that's going on behind the scenes here. I mean, what have we got here? We've got like Plato, Descartes, we've got Immanuel Kant and so on. And yeah, look, all of these people were theists, and so the argument boils down to atheists are idiots for assuming that religion is for idiots. And you know what? I'm going to start right off the bat here, right out the gate. I'm going to extend an olive branch and say, fair enough. There are atheists out there who believe that religion is just for idiots and only idiots believe in God. But that's just not true. Some of the most intelligent people throughout history, and even today, believe in God. So these are some historical examples, Descartes and so on. But right now I'm thinking of one Francis Collins, a person who was the lead on mapping the human genome, one of the most significant advances in our time. And so, yeah, Francis Collins is an evangelical Christian who dropped to his knees and accepted Jesus into his heart when he encountered a stream, a waterfall that had frozen into 3 constituent parts, I believe. So not the most compelling conversion narrative in my view, and it certainly demonstrates a level of fallaciousness in his thinking or some ignorance or whatnot, but he's still an incredibly intelligent guy being responsible for mapping the human genome. So yeah, it's entirely possible for people to be incredibly intelligent and also be religious, and I think that's what this meme is pointing at, and I have to agree with that point that the meme is making. It's possible to be intelligent and believe in God. The problem, however, with this meme is that it seems to be suggesting something else in addition to what I've just pointed out. It seems to be making an argument from authority. Bear with me here. These thinkers and scientists and philosophers that are identified in the meme are all incredibly intelligent and smart. And so one possible interpretation of this meme is that because these intelligent people believed in God, you should as well. But that's a fallacy, folks. That's the fallacy of authority. It's the equivalent of what, unfortunately, some atheists do as well, where they point to someone like Einstein and say, well, Einstein believed this, so you should as well. But that's a joke. We shouldn't be believing things because Einstein believed it, or because Descartes believed it, or because Plato believed it. We should be believing things based on whether or not there's evidence to support it. That's it. That's it. End of story. It's whether or not there's good evidence for something. That's the end of the story as far as I'm concerned. I'm an empiricist. We shouldn't be believing things based on authority. That's a fool's errand. So anyway, that's the first meme. Let's move on to the next one. Internet atheism. Free thinking in action. I gotta give him this one. And perhaps I'm partly to blame for this, guys. I mean, I am an internet atheist and my channel is growing, and I mean, I can't pretend that I'm original every day of the week. Perhaps I've never uttered an original thought. But in my defense, and in the defense of other internet atheists, it's pretty difficult to utter an original thought. We are all standing on the shoulders of giants. Everything I've ever said is probably attributable to Hume or Russell or what have you. I mean, like, it just is what it is. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, am I? And I don't imagine any other internet atheist is reinventing the wheel. And I could say the same about all of the apologists out there. They've been using the same arguments for the existence of God for centuries. So yeah, maybe I'm unoriginal, but I think the meme here is implying something much more sinister. It's not only that atheists on the internet are unoriginal, it's that their thinking is not rational. It's not reasonable. We're just copying what other people have told us. I think there's an implication in this meme that we take our views on faith. This is a very common thing in the Christian community, or in the apologetics community more generally. They try to imply that atheists just have faith too, which is really funny, actually, because there seems to be an implicit acknowledgement there that having faith is somehow or another a mark against your position. So they seem desperate to paint atheists with the faith brush as well. So now we're all equally covered in shit, as it were. But whatever your interpretation of this meme, I have to say, I mean, perhaps I agree. I mean, I like I said, I don't think I'm fantastically original by any stretch of the imagination, but I would certainly resist, if indeed I'm right about the other implication, I would certainly resist the idea that I have come to the conclusions I've arrived at by simply taking on faith what other atheists have told me. Far from it. What I've actually done is embark upon a process of reasoning and introspection and reflection and examination of the arguments. That's what led me to atheism. I was a dyed-in-the-wool creationist, remember, dear listener? I used to believe that evolution was folly. I wasn't a young earth creationist, but I certainly believed that evolution was folly, and that God created me, and that the Shroud of Turin was compelling evidence for the existence of Jesus, and all that nonsense. And I found my way out of that using reason, and by exploring the works of people like Christopher Hitchens, or Sam Harris, or David Hume, or Bertrand Russell. And so, yeah, anyway, I think I've said enough about that meme. Let's move on to the next one. What if I told you, just because you're an atheist doesn't mean you can be rude to people who wish you a Merry Christmas? I gotta say, I'm a huge fan of The Matrix. Anybody who's been listening to my podcasts knows that. I've done 4 podcasts on The Matrix with my good friend PJ from the channel Just a Tip. Shout out to PJ, by the way. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on the 4 Matrix films, although PJ and I would argue that there's only 3 Matrix films, you'll figure out why when you listen to those conversations. But I love this Morpheus meme. It's excellent. And again, I will say that there is truth in this meme, and I would have to hold my hand up and say that I'm guilty of this as well. I can be rude. There is no denying it. I can be rude. I can be very condescending at times, and I've recognized it when I've gone to edit my own footage and seen, even sometimes I'll edit something out because it's even too arrogant or too condescending. So if you get to a point where you have to edit out your own condescension, you're probably pretty damn condescending. But I have to say, my condescension is well earned. It's funny to me that the apologetics community spends time worrying about the condescension and rudeness of atheists while simultaneously promoting hatred, bigotry, and division that their religion pervades in. I mean, some of the more radical Christian types are anti-gay, they're anti-woman, right? They're anti-LGBTQ plus more generally. And so the idea that they're going to take issue with my rudeness or condescension while simultaneously preventing gay people from having equal marital rights, or while preventing women access to contraception if they had their way in some places, and while certainly preventing access to abortion services and so on, I think it's about time that we started being a little bit rude, wouldn't you say? And what about the places in the world where atheists can't even self-identify as such, where you can't even identify yourself as a free thinker without being socially ostracized, or worse still, beaten or killed? Again, I think it's about time we started being a little bit rude. I think it's about time that we started being a little bit arrogant and condescending. But anyway, I just want to say that yes, I can be rude and condescending sometimes, and I've seen evidence of that in other internet atheists. But you know what? I don't think that actually matters a great deal. I don't really care if my interlocutor is being rude or condescending. All I care about is whether or not they have evidence. Because here's the shocking truth, dear listener. Somebody can be rude and condescending and arrogant and also be correct. Imagine that. Imagine that. Anyway, moving on. The amount of the Bible the atheist reads in order to refute the Bible. This is fantastic. This is absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I'll hold my hand up. I have not read the Bible from cover to cover. I've not done it. I've tried a couple of times, but it's just so fucking boring. It's absolutely appalling. And so what I've done now is I've bought the audiobook and I'm going to try and listen to that, but it's ridiculously long. So in any case, no, I'm sorry, dear listener. And if this disqualifies me as an informed atheist and you think that this is a deal breaker, you're welcome to unsubscribe and off you go. No problem. That's fine by me. But no, I haven't read the Bible from cover to cover. But ask any Christian, have they read the Mahabharata from cover to cover? Have they read the Quran from cover to cover? Or the accompanying Hadith cover to cover? Right? Have they read the Tibetan Book of the Dead from cover to cover? Must I, as an atheist, have read every religious text from cover to cover to be considered an informed atheist? Must I read Dianetics from cover to cover? Really? Has every Christian done this? I'd love to meet an apologist who could honestly tell me that they've read the text of all of the other faiths of the world from cover to cover. So I'm going to tell you right now, if that's what's required to be considered an atheist, well then I guess I'm not an atheist, because I'm not wasting my fucking time. I've got better things to do. Here's a better alternative to expecting your atheist interlocutors to read your religious text from cover to cover. Why don't you distill the key pieces of evidence and share that with us, and then we can make our minds up as to whether or not your religion is true. Oh, that's right, that's what apologists do, and yet you still haven't been able to produce anything of merit. Are you really telling me that the truth of your religion is in the text that I haven't read, and you simply failed to share that truth with me? Are you telling me that you intentionally selected shit, weak, terrible, fallacious arguments, and that the real truth, the real evidence, is in the text or in the chapters that I have yet to read? Because if that's what you're claiming, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And if that is what you're saying, I could make the exact same argument, a parody argument, for why you should be a Muslim and for why you should be a Hindu, a Buddhist, or a Scientologist. The real truth that you've missed is in the text that you haven't read yet. Give me a break. So yes, it's true that atheists criticize the Bible, many of them without having read it from cover to cover. Now maybe many of them have, and maybe what I've just admitted to marks me down in your estimation, dear listener. And if that's the case, like I said, fair enough. But I don't have time to read Christian fairy tales. I'm sitting here honestly waiting to be convinced. My mind and my heart are open. Show me the evidence and I'll change my mind. If your claim is that I have to read it from cover to cover to be convinced, You're just full of it. Because I could just point to all of the atheists who have read it from cover to cover and still didn't find it compelling. I'm not doing that, guys. I'm sorry. And so, yes, I will continue to criticize the Bible, but it's entirely possible to criticize passages without reading the whole bloody thing. When it says in the Bible that homosexuality is an abomination, I'm not disqualified from criticizing that particular statement because I haven't read the entire rest of the fucking text. And if you think that, you're ridiculous. That's an appalling argument. I can judge that statement on its own terms. There's nothing at any other point in the Bible that's going to serve as a justification for that statement. That statement is appalling, it's immoral, and if there was an all-knowing, all-loving, and all-powerful God who wrote this book, that book presumably wouldn't contain such a horrible, disgusting and bigoted statement, and yet it does. And I think that sheds some light on the potentially human origins of this text. But I won't go down that rabbit hole for now. Let's move on to our next meme. Atheism, the belief that there was nothing and that nothing happened to nothing, which made nothing explode, thus creating everything from nothing for no reason. But then a bunch of everything rearranged itself for no reason into self-replicating bits that transformed into dinosaurs, but then the dinosaurs used the power of nothing to transform into something else, which then used the power of nothing to transform into humans that don't matter because there is nothing waiting for them, because nothing exists outside of the everything that nothing blew up and created. Atheism makes perfect sense. That sure is a mouthful. Anyway, let's dive in here and try and unpack this, shall we? I think the first and most important mistake to point out in this meme is that it attributes a hell of a lot of baggage to atheism that actually has nothing to do with atheism. You hear there mention of evolution, you hear mention of the Big Bang and so on. None of that has anything to do with atheism. Here's a really useful test for any Christian out there who thinks that any of this has anything to do with atheism. Ask yourself this question. Is the atheist still an atheist if they stop believing in the Big Bang? Is the atheist still an atheist if they stop believing in evolution? So after they stop believing in those two things, they still don't believe in God. Are they still an atheist? And the obvious answer is yes. If you can subtract something from somebody's belief set and yet you can still apply the label of atheist, that tells us something, doesn't it? It tells us that those things have fuck all to do with atheism. Atheism is a single belief on a single issue. The question is, are there any gods? Christians say yes. Religious people more generally say yes. Atheists say we're not convinced. Why? Because you haven't provided evidence for your belief in God. That's why. It's that simple. So all of this stuff, this baggage that it attaches to atheism, has nothing to do with atheism. I think that's the first point to clarify. But let's just explore this, shall we? Let's just go through this and assume that it is part of what atheists believe. In fact, you might be able to make a statistical case that the majority of atheists do believe in the Big Bang and evolution and whatnot. Just because the majority of people believe something, however, doesn't mean that that has anything to do with their atheism. That's a correlation, not a causal connection. I'm sure the majority of vegans believe that, I don't know, the age of consent is important. That doesn't mean that age of consent has anything to do with veganism. That's just a correlation. You'd have to establish a causal connection to say that one had anything to do with the other. So anyway, I digress. Let's read through this and unpack the nonsense that's on display. Here we go. Atheism, the belief that there was nothing and that nothing happened to nothing, which made nothing explode, thus creating everything from nothing for no reason. So this is talking about creatio ex nihilo, creation out of nothing. This idea that in the past, at some point before space and time, there was nothing, and that nothing then miraculously transformed into the somethingness we call reality. First of all, as I've already pointed out, atheists don't have to take a position on this, and my very own position, if you want to know, dear listener, is I don't know. I don't know why there is something rather than nothing. It could be the case that we have an infinite past. Could be the case that there really was nothing at some point and that through some yet to be explored or explained phenomenon that nothing turned into something. I have no idea. My answer is I don't know. But listen to what's being said here. The belief that nothing transformed into something as if by magic. This is the point that they're making, right? First of all, that's not as ridiculous as it might sound. I've commented on this in the past and I've done full videos dedicated to it, so I'll make this short. But What they're doing here is relying on your intuition of cause and effect. We live in a reality that's governed by that intuition. Wherever we find an effect, it's preceded by a cause. So it seems obscene to us that there could be an effect that's causeless. Effects are preceded by causes. So the idea that there could have been nothing and that nothing turned into something violates this intuition. Because if there was nothing, from nothing, nothing comes. How could nothing become something without a cause? How could nothing just turn into something in a causeless manner? Again, that violates our intuition of cause and effect. But to that, I'll say the following. Our reality is governed by cause and effect, but if there really was nothing at some point before our reality existed, well, if there really was nothing, then the rule of cause and effect wouldn't apply, would it? Because the rule of cause and effect counts as something, and if there was in fact nothing, the rule of cause and effect doesn't apply. So if there's no cause and effect rule, isn't it at least theoretically possible that nothing could become something? Isn't it theoretically possible in a reality or lack thereof where cause and effect doesn't apply, that an effect could happen without a cause? And if you say that that's not possible, it's because that reality isn't really a state of nothingness. You're assuming that it's nothingness plus the rule of cause and effect, but now it's not nothingness anymore. So I do have to challenge this point that's made in the meme. It's a point that apologists make quite frequently. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. We've never had a state of nothingness to investigate. Perhaps if there's genuinely nothingness and there's no rule of cause and effect, who's to say what's possible in that reality? We can't know. We are disbarred from exploring such a reality. Because to explore it would be to assume that there was something to explore, which is paradoxical in the first place. You could get a headache thinking about this. I'm just trying to make the point here, dear listener, that this idea that it's absurd for something to come from nothing is actually a flawed idea in and of itself. It might not be as absurd as theists assume it is. Anyway, let's keep reading. But then a bunch of everything rearranged itself for no reason into self-replicating bits that transformed into dinosaurs, but then the dinosaurs used the power of nothing to transform into something else, which then used the power of nothing to transform into humans that don't matter because there is nothing waiting for them. And here the meme is playing the traditional God of the Gaps argument. It's a textbook example of the fallacy, right? It's appealing to the fact that we don't know how life began. And saying that, oh, well, something self-replicating appeared, and then that self-replicating thing transformed into dinosaurs, and then dinosaurs transformed into something else, yada, yada, yada. Please notice that it says that things rearranged themselves into self-replicating bits for no reason. Well, what atheist believes that? Show me an atheist who believes that self-replicating organisms came into existence for no reason. You won't find one. Instead, what you'll find is atheists who say, well, I don't know how the first self-replicating organism came into existence. Science hasn't figured that out yet. We don't have the answer. We may never have the answer because it happened so long ago that we might very well be disbarred, epistemologically speaking, from figuring that out. Almost like a cold case that the detective is working on where the DNA evidence has degraded to such a point that the case can never be solved. And that's the difference between my worldview and the worldview of these apologists. I'm happy to say I don't know. I don't know how life started. But I will tell you this. When we get the first self-replicating organism, which we know came into existence at some point, we don't know how, but as soon as you have that, the rest of it is explicable. The theory of evolution by natural selection explains the rest. As soon as you have a self-replicating organism, the whole rest of biological history just plays out automatically. Like a videotape. Speciation, the proliferation of species, and all of the species that exist on planet Earth today, we actually have a very good understanding of how they formed, transitioned, changed, and diversified over time. That's all very well understood. The bit we don't know is where the first self-replicating organism comes from. But this meme alleges that atheists believe that it happened for no reason. Please notice the difference between believing that something happened for no reason or not knowing how something happened. Are they the same thing, dear listener? I don't think so. But of course, again, like I said, this is textbook God of the Gaps. Of course, because we don't know how life began, theists are going to insert God in that gap. Again, that's the difference between theists and atheists. Atheists will honestly acknowledge that which they do not know. I don't know how life began. Theists, on the other hand, claim to know all sorts of things that nobody could possibly know. Right? They know how life began. They know how the universe started. They know what's going to happen when we die. They know where morality comes from, and they know it to be factual. All of these things they claim to know. They appear to be in the knowing things business. The unfortunate truth is that they actually know bugger all. They're only claiming to know things with certainty and confidence and bombastic arrogance. The truth is, nobody knows how life started. And you asserting that you do, or asserting that atheists believe that the first self-replicating organism came into existence for no reason, gets us nowhere. In fact, all this does, all it serves to do is demonstrate the ignorance of theists and what they think about atheists and atheism more generally. And it sheds a light on the irrational, God of the gaps reasoning that pervades their theology. And another thing that's just absolutely ridiculous about this meme, and I find this to be a very common sentiment among theists more generally, but this meme posits the idea that nothing matters, that human life doesn't matter if there's no afterlife. And this is just absolutely appalling. In my view, and this is just so bloody obvious to me, but perhaps I'm just articulating an intuition here, dear listener, you can be the judge, but as I was saying, in my view, it's just so damn obvious that the very exact opposite is true. It's the fact that when we're dead, we're gone forever that gives life its meaning. Every single moment, every last second has urgency. Everything matters because we only get one chance at this. Now, I'm not saying it matters in the objective sense, but given the fact that life is going to end and there's nothing after we die, that does make our time more valuable because it's finite. If we have an infinite amount of time after we die, then this life is nothing but a waiting room. So again, I repeat, I think the exact opposite is true. The fact that when I'm dead and gone, there's nothing else, means that every last second matters. How I spend my time matters because there's no respawns. There's no great big gig in the sky, as far as I can tell. There's certainly no evidence for it. There's no evidence for reincarnation. As far as I can tell, consciousness is a product of the brain, and upon death, the brain dies. Ergo, game over. No respawns, sorry. And that means that every last moment I spend with my loved ones, every last moment I spend eating food that I desire and love, every last moment I spend with my fiancé, every last moment I spend with anyone doing anything matters infinitely more if atheists are right, if there's no afterlife. I hesitate on atheists there because there are afterlives that could be articulated that have nothing to do with a god, but if I'm right and consciousness ends upon death, well then, in my view, life matters all the more. The idea that there's an eternal afterlife belittles this existence. And so I have to fundamentally disagree with the meme on that point as well. But anyway, let's do one more meme and we'll leave it there for today. When Jesus returns, non-believers, it wasn't a myth. Oh my God, Jesus, you are Lord. Believers, Lord Jesus, we were waiting for you. Don't you just love the eschatological component of Christianity? This is so common among apologists and theists more generally. Ever present is the threat of damnation. I love this meme particularly because it's The Lion King, and I absolutely love The Lion King. It might very well be my favorite animated film of all time. But look at the face on Simba. Look at that face. This is what Christianity engages in. This is the currency of Christianity. And don't you ever forget it, dear listener. It's all about fear. You better believe, because if you don't, you're going to burn in hell forever. I did a video a number of months back about a guy called Wild Bill. It was a pretty popular episode. Some of you guys might remember it. But Bill spends the entirety of his soliloquy in his video threatening believers with hell. Here's an excerpt.
The willful atheists are deliberately marching themselves into the fires of hell. The great day of judgment is coming. Don't believe in God? You will when you're facing Him. Every man, woman, and child will stand before God to give an account. Don't believe in hell? You will when you arrive there. The only way to avoid hell is to be reconciled to your Creator in this life. The moment you die, your eternal fate is sealed. Try to find a little happiness in this life, because there will be no happiness for you in the next.
See what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. They just never stop. Don't believe in hell? You will when you arrive there. Right? And that's exactly what this meme is doing. This meme is a threat. Christians will be sitting pretty and happy and contented when the Lord returns to rapture the good into heaven and to banish the evil to hell. I and many other people will be among those who are depicted on the left-hand side of this meme, who will be stricken with fear and terror as they realize the error in their ways. It's all about fear, guys. The problem is, and as I pointed out in my Wild Bill video, if I don't believe your religion, then your threats are like invisible arrows. I'm not going to dodge invisible arrows. I don't believe invisible arrows exist. I'm not going to hang garlic up in my house to prevent a vampire attack from vampires that I don't believe exist. So the just-in-case approach to theology is nonsense, because this is what this meme is telling us, basically, and this is what Christians remind us of all the time. Well, you better believe just in case you're wrong, so-called Pascalian wagering. You better believe just in case you're wrong. Well, you better hang up garlic just in case you're wrong about the existence of vampires. Wouldn't you regret it if you didn't hang up the garlic and a vampire came into your home and turned you into a ghoul of the night, destined to live immortally and suck on the blood of the living? Wouldn't you regret it? Isn't it better to be safe and sorry and hang up that garlic right away? What an appalling level of reasoning. It doesn't even rise to the level of reasoning. It's just superstitious mumbo-jumbo. The reason I'm not going to pray to Jesus just in case is the same reason I don't hang up garlic just in case vampires attack me. And anybody who suggests otherwise isn't a skeptic. They're either trying to convince you of some bullshit or they're selling you something. Either way, I'm not interested. Before this video wraps up, it's time for me to answer a Patreon question. Take it away, Dara. Today's Patreon question has been submitted by one Callum Bircher, and Callum writes, my question is, why do you do this, and why do you think it's important? I love this question, and I suppose if somebody was watching my videos over a long period of time, they could probably infer my reasons, but perhaps not all of them. So I'll give you a few reasons why I do this, and then I'll try to answer the question on importance. But I suppose the first and most obvious reason I do this is because I just bloody love it. I just love doing this. I love philosophy. I love making videos, and I love conversing with you guys. I love the fact that Callum submitted this question and is giving me this opportunity to answer it. I just love being a YouTuber, and being a philosophy YouTuber is even better, right? So yeah, I mean, that might just seem like a kind of a trivial answer, but it is the primary reason I do this. I just absolutely love it. Love philosophy, love the arguments for God's existence. I'm a big philosophy nerd. I love making videos for YouTube and interacting with you guys, answering comments. I love getting the positive reaction. I love hearing the constructive criticism as well, because it makes me a better philosopher. Some of you guys are very astute in your observations, and the comments you write don't fall on deaf ears. And I've even made videos in the past where I've had to address mistakes I've made, mistakes that you guys pointed out to me. And so, yeah, I just love this whole thing. I love it from the ground up. The second reason I do this is to do with career. I'm currently a secondary school teacher, and I don't really want to be a teacher for the rest of my life, or at least if I'm going to be a teacher for the rest of my life, I would like to do it at a part-time capacity. That would be nicer. I just want a better work-life balance. And look, maybe that sounds a bit privileged, or maybe it sounds a bit, I don't know, like I'm a snowflake or something. Oh, just go out and work, Magic Skeptic. But, I mean, shoot me. I'll own that. I would like to have a better work-life balance. I would love to work 2 or 3 days a week and have the other 4 days to myself where I make YouTube videos and interact with you guys. That sounds like a much better life. Now, I haven't gotten there yet, but hopefully with more time and effort I will. So, in short, the second reason I do this is that I hope that one day this will spin off into a side gig, or perhaps it might even spin off into my primary job, my primary income. That would be absolutely fantastic. It may or may not happen, and if it doesn't happen, I'll still fall back on my very first reason, which is I love doing this anyway. At no point am I suggesting here, Callum, that if this doesn't ever become financially lucrative, or if this doesn't ever become a career, that I'll feel like I've wasted my time. No, absolutely not. Like I said, my primary reason for doing this is that I just love doing it. It occupies my time. Philosophy fascinates me, and interacting with you guys is just the cherry on top. And so, yeah, I love doing it. If it never becomes a career, so be it. But one of my aspirations, to be perfectly honest, is to turn this into either a part-time or full-time career. That would be a dream. The third reason I do this, and it addresses the second part of your question, Callum, is that I do think this is important. There are still many places in the world where being an atheist is dangerous, where to admit that one is an atheist is to risk your own life and your own health. Right? There are places where atheists get executed. And even in other places where it's not that extreme, there are still places in the world where atheists are ostracized. There are also still many places in the world where church-state separation is not a reality, and where religious majorities enforce their religion through law. Right? And so long as that's the case, and so long as people believe these ridiculous things, and so long as this takes a toll on the world, a negative toll, I think there's always going to be a place for YouTubers and skeptics such as myself. Now, I just want to make this clear. I'm not suggesting at all that my little old nobody YouTube channel is going to do, you know, some serious work in terms of resisting the problems I've just described. I'm not a moron. I understand that I am a speck of sand in an infinite sea of sand, an infinite desert of sand, rather. I get that. I don't have delusions of grandeur in this regard. But I have had enough of responses from people who have said that I've changed their mind, or helped them feel better, or given them a different perspective, that I'm going to keep doing this. If I've only helped one person, that's awesome. And I can tell you right now, categorically, unless these commenters were lying to me, unless these people who wrote to me were lying to me, and I guess I have to entertain that as a possibility. I don't think it's likely, however. But there have been many people who have reached out to me to tell me that my work matters, that my work has helped them, that my work got them through a hard time, or changed them from being a theist to being an atheist. Right? That matters, folks. That's important to me. And so long as that's the case, I'm going to keep doing this. Right? I mean, it might just be small fry, and maybe the amount of people I will impact will be minimal, but the fact that I've impacted anyone just blows my socks off. And yeah, I do think that's important. And hopefully someday, Callum, my channel will reach the heights where I can have much more influence than I currently have. And if that's going to happen, it'll happen through hard work, grit, effort, and the support of people like you, Callum. And let me just close by saying that. Thank you very much for being a patron, and thank you very much for submitting this question and giving me the opportunity to explain why I do this and why, in my humble opinion, it matters. And so if you want to submit a question just like Callum did, guys, jump into the description box below and you'll find my Patreon link right there. And you can sign up for a tier, which will allow you to submit a monthly question just like Callum did. So Callum, thanks again for all of your support. It means the world to me. And to the rest of you guys who are watching right now, thank you as well. Back to the video. So guys, you tell me, What did you think of my responses to these memes? Would you have responded similarly? Why don't you tell me your responses? Choose one of the memes. Choose your favorite one and jump into the comments below and tell me how you'd respond to it as a skeptic or an atheist. Or even maybe you're a Christian. I do know that some Christians or theists more generally watch my content. I'd love to know what you thought of my responses as well. In any case, leaving that aside, if you enjoyed this video, and I really want to know if you enjoyed this video, guys, because if you did, I'm going to do another one of these. I've really enjoyed doing this, commenting on these memes. And so if you liked it, do drop a like on it. It matters a lot in this video because this video is a test case to see if people want me to respond to other memes in the future. So that like is ever more important today. It's more important in today's video than any other, really. And yeah, it also helps out the channel enormously and costs you nothing. So you'll be getting 2 or 3 birds for 1 stone there. If you do want to take your support of the channel a step further, however, you could jump into the description box below, hit the link to my Patreon, and you can sign up for as little as £3 per month. And depending on what tier you choose, you will gain access to a plethora of perks, bonuses, and extras. But with all that out of the way, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. All the best. Bye-bye.